Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Sky Sports Golf Podcast. Hope everyone's doing good. A little lull, I'm going to say, in the golf schedule at the moment. All the Olympics was amazing yesterday. Scotty Scheffler doing Scotty Scheffler things. Outrageous if you did see it. If you did manage to find it somewhere to watch. I haven't done a hashtag golf chat in a while. And for the last 3 weeks, I was speaking to this guy. I thought I'd let him have a break because I thought he probably needed it. Thankfully, he's free this Monday. North Yorkshire's finest, Dan Brown. Good afternoon.
Hello, how are we?
I'm good. Look, we're going to come on to the Open a bit later.
Yeah.
You've had time to reflect and stuff like that. How are you feeling? How are you feeling about yourself now and about the week that you had at Troon?
Still, I mean, I'm still a little bit disappointed with the way I kind of played the front ride all week. And especially on Sunday,
Okay.
I was struggling with the wind off the right. So, but I think as time's gone on, I've become sort of happier about the result and realised sort of how good it was, how good the week was.
I love looking at wiki grids now, as we call it, the golf wiki grids. Yours is great already. You've already got a yellow box on your wiki grid. You're 100% for good wiki grids. Dan.
What is the wiki grid?
Oh, so on your Wikipedia page. So on your Wikipedia page, you get results in major championships. So you get the grid, and if you get a top 10, you get a yellow box. If you get a win, you get a green. And yours, you've already got a yellow box. You're 1 out of 1 with a yellow box. straight into the yellow. Yeah. So yours is excellent. Yeah. Dan, we always do this with new guests. Tell the listeners something about yourself that no one else might know. Anything doesn't have to be golf related at all. Outside of the box is better.
Quite a big country music fan, which could
are you?
I did being from Yorkshire, yeah, and I haven't actually been to America that much either, so it's a little bit weird.
That is right. I've got so many questions to ask you already. How long have you been a country music fan?
I'd say it was like since COVID. You know, you kind of like, obviously you got a load of time on your hands in COVID, and I just ended up stumbling across a load of country music and loving it, falling in love with it, yeah. So I like
Morgan
a bit
Wallen
of
fan?
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen. Yeah, Morgan Wallen, yeah, Luke Combs.
Did you see Morgan Wallen when he was here in the UK?
No, it's quite tricky to get all the tickets. I have tried a couple of times for Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen. They just get sold out so quickly.
I know.
Which is a bit of
ridiculous.
a shame.
It is a shame, and they're not cheap. And they're not cheap as well. So so it is a shame. Maybe we'll give Morgan a call. We'll see. See what he says next time.
Ultimate strings.
Look, before we get into golf, let's talk about the important stuff, Dan. You're a big United fan. Injuries galore already, and the season hasn't even started. How do you think the season's going to go?
I've not been sure for a while. I think we finished second in the league a few seasons back, and then we made the signings of like Varane, Sancho, and Ronaldo in the same window, and then all of a sudden you get mega excited and you think, oh, we're going to win the league, and then it just doesn't materialise. So no expectations really. I try and keep it like my golf. Just don't go in with any expectations, then you can't really get too disappointed, can you?
Yeah, that's very true. I saw you did a thing with Wes Brown, Andy Cole, Tom Heaton, and Harry Maguire the other day. Look, fans get starstruck meeting you, Dan. Do you get starstruck meeting like your footballing heroes, your sporting heroes?
I wouldn't say I get starstruck anymore.
Okay,
that's kind of gone a little bit. Although saying that, I did walk past Tiger Woods at the Open, and a little bit of Lee might have come out. But other than that, I think, I'm obviously it's nice to meet your sort of sporting heroes, and certainly being a massive United fan, it was amazing to meet Wes Brown, Andy Cole, Tom Heaton, Harry Maguire, and Scott McTominay. I still speak to Tom Heaton a little bit as well, so trying to hopefully get a game of golf organised at some point when he's not busy and when I'm not too busy.
I think he's handy, isn't he? He's like 4 or 5, Tom.
I think Tom's off about 15 or 16, but Harry Maguire's off 4. Yeah, Harry Maguire's off 4. Yeah, so he's
right, okay,
quite handy, and he's big. He's a big lad, so he probably give it a bit of a dig. Yeah,
he'll give it a thump.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about your background, Dan. So you're from Northallerton, which is kind of, anyone who doesn't know, is kind of between Leeds and Middlesbrough, North Yorkshire area.
Yeah, we'll not say Middlesbrough.
Well, you know what? I wasn't sure if to say that.
Yeah, I always go between Leeds and Newcastle because it just sounds a bit better. I don't like being associated anywhere near. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a lovely place, Middlesbrough. Everybody lives in Middlesbrough. I love you guys.
It's a fantastic place. You should go visit it. Definitely, yeah. Not.
Anyway, your first course was Bedale. Is it Bedale Golf Club? I don't know anything about it. What are your memories?
Bedale, yeah, that was my first.
Bedale, sorry.
Yeah, so my memories of growing up there, at the time there were so many juniors there. There must have been 50 to 100 juniors when I was growing up there.
Wow.
When I was sort of like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they had such a big junior section. I think that's where a lot of the competitiveness has come from there being so many juniors. I think it's quite rare now that you get that many juniors at a golf club. Certainly all turning up at the same time on a Saturday. So that was one of the sort of fondest memories I had, was there just being so many juniors at the club. And then I can always remember going into the practice ground. You had to sort of like walk across 3 holes, walked across with a shag bag of balls, and there was like a practice area in the middle that where it was like 150 yards long. I can just remember just hitting so many, just practicing wedges and going up to like 9. You could only really go up to 998. Yeah. So yeah, all I can remember is just being on there for hours and just practicing my wedge play and going out and playing, and we'd finish playing on a Saturday in the junior competition, then we'd go out for another 9 holes, and it's just yeah. So it's a good environment.
Cool. Yeah, as Dan says, like 50 to 100 juniors these days would be outrageously big. Just don't see it anymore for whatever reason.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Dan, I don't know, which is a shame, obviously.
Yeah. I'm not too sure why it's gone, because it wasn't too long ago either. So there's been a big drop for whatever reason.
You're at Roman B now. I think you're there at the moment.
Yeah.
With a teapot holding up the phone.
I'm here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
What's a typical practice with a coffee and tea, ticking all the boxes? What's a typical practice day for you like there?
Well, it's become a bit better because we've got they've just installed a Trackman range a few months back. So it's typical, yeah. So that's good fun. So I can get to play on courses. I played Wentworth a few times, and obviously courses that we get to play on DP, which is nice. Get a little practice rounds in, yeah. But yeah, a typical. I tend to do a lot of wedge play still now. That tends to be a lot of my practice is wedge play and putting. So I would always do half an hour, 40 minutes on my wedge play, and then probably I'm not a big ball beater in terms of I don't stand on the range for hours and I don't hit loads of balls. So a lot of it would be, say, it would kind of be like half an hour, 40 minutes wedge play, and then half an hour through the rest of the bag, and then tend to go to the putting green for an hour, and then I would kind of go out and do 9 holes and practice my short game out on the course and stuff like that. So you'd be looking, depending on whether I do 9 holes or 18 holes, you're kind of looking between sort of 4 and 6 or 7 hours practice, really.
Okay, that's decent. That's decent, actually. Yeah, maybe ripping a few darts here and there, which we might come on to in a bit.
Ripping some haters in between, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Now, you were on another podcast, and I didn't even know this until the other day. I kind of asked you to come on, and then I saw you on another podcast, and it'll be longer than this one. You spoke about a lot of things that I'm going to probably talk about here, obviously, about the Open. There might be a few questions here that maybe you didn't. I heard in your amateur days, you were a bit rogue. I'm gonna say you were a bit of a rogue in your amateur days.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Now, there is one story I've heard that I might get you to tell. I might get you to tell, and I do have a feeling our producer might edit it out straight away. It's to do about.
I really hope it's not the one I'm thinking of.
Is it to do with the sleeve of Pro V1s? Is that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think, Dan? Do you think you should tell it or not? You could be the one who decides.
Is it acceptable for wherever this is going to end up?
One story I think you could tell, for me, is did you used to cling film a lot of things?
No, that was basically what happened the same week in the room wars. So we had a bit of a room war that was the same week, and then and they ended up cling filming all our stuff to get us back. Yeah,
that is great. I also heard that you used to quite regularly go out a lot until about 4 a.m. and then have a pretty early tea time the next day. Is that right?
Yeah, that would be correct.
Do you want to expand on that kind of thing?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, as an amateur, I was a bit loose, shall we say? I probably didn't take life very seriously and didn't take the golf very seriously. I was just kind of relying on my talent for a lot of it. Managed to get myself kicked out of the England team for a year. I don't think I was too well liked within the sort of managers and coaches of the England squad, which was fair enough because I probably was quite hard to manage. But yeah, there was the week I can remember the 1 week I can remember was the when I won the English amateur at Ganton, and me and a couple of the other lads ended up going out till probably 2 a.m. pretty much every night before doing 36 holes in the English amateur, and then all of a sudden I ended up being in the final, and yeah.
That's the secret to golf, Dan.
Yeah, just stay relaxed, basically. Yeah, but I think that would catch up with me now. I can't do that anymore. Not anymore.
Oh, look, I know there were a lot more stories from your amateur days, but maybe we'll save that for another time, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, a good one. I will tell a good one. I did split my head open in Morocco by falling out of a golf buggy.
Did you?
Oh, that was on an England camp. Yeah, I fell out of a buggy and sort of like I've gone out of the buggy, tried staying on my feet, fell back, hit my head, and was concussed for about 20 minutes and cost England golf €600 in stitches for the back of my head. So yeah, there's another.
They didn't like you.
Yeah,
you're costing them money, time.
Yeah, rogue.
Oh, so rogue. Anyway, so you turned pro in 2017 after amateur days.
Yeah,
and I think you reached final stage of Q School, DP European Tour, DP World Tour, Q School that first year. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So that is an amazingly quick rise from just turning pro. What can you remember of that Q School that year?
Yeah, to be honest, not a lot. It feels like a long time ago now since I turned pro. But I think I must have been on quite a good sort of run of form in the amateur stuff, and then turned pro. I can remember turning pro straight after home internationals, I think. Yeah. And then just managed to get through first stage, second stage, got to final stage. And I think I maybe missed the cut in final stage by 2 shots maybe, but then that was still good. That was still good enough to get me a decent enough Challenge Tour card, which got me, I think, 12, 13, 14 starts, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 13 starts, and that 2018, I think you only made 2 cuts out of those 13 events. How do you reflect on that first year on the Challenge Tour? Like, would you have changed anything like that, or was it just an experience that it was at the time?
I think it was a lot of things. I think it was like what we said earlier. I was still partying a bit, not taking it too seriously. But at the same time, I wasn't ready. I was a bit naive, probably going into it, thinking that I had a good amateur career, thinking that I was going to turn pro and do really well, and get out on Challenge Tour straight away, and it's a big jump from amateur golf to the Challenge Tour.
And then you went for the next 2 years. You were Euro Pro. I mean, Euro Pro doesn't even exist anymore. But I love hearing about Euro Pro stories. Had a poor year
2019. I think I maybe finished 40th from there.
Yeah, just describe those 2 years. Like, how was it for you? Because I understand there was no money. There was no money on Euro Pro. That is a tough existence to be on Euro Pro.
Yeah, and obviously I struggled the year before on Challenge Tour as well, and sort of forked out a lot of money for that, and with not much gaining back. So yeah, the first couple of years as a pro was just horrible, just absolutely horrible. But it sort of paved the way to where I've got to now. Really, I think it's made me a lot stronger. It sort of gave me a few reality checks, and yeah, I wouldn't change it, but it wasn't a very pleasant couple of years. We'll say that.
But you did what was pretty dramatic. I think you hold a 6-foot putt at Slaley Hall to get your Challenge Tour card. What can you remember of that? Because that is hard.
Yeah, I can remember having a fairly decent-ish year, so I was in a pretty good position going into the final event of the Euro Pro Grand Final at Slaley Hall, and I needed to finish top 3, I think. And yeah, I can remember hitting a poor tee shot off 18 in the final round, and thinking I might have just blown it. But then I had to sort of like chip out sideways and left myself 92 yards, I think it was, and managed to pitch one into 6 foot and hole a little smelly downhill 6-footer to get my Challenge Tour card. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And then, can you tell us the story about the grand final in 2022? Because you went 78-77 on the first 2 days of the grand final.
Yeah.
You then went mad over the weekend. Tell us the reason why. I think you changed the club, didn't you?
Yeah. So I actually changed a couple. So what I can remember was I was putting terribly. It was basically just my putter that wasn't really working. In the first 2 rounds, I just kept 3-putting the greens so quick. I kept leaving myself wrong side of the hole. And I can remember I was actually watching a Max Homer video on YouTube on the Friday night, and I was like, and he was just holding the world on this YouTube channel. I can't remember who it was with now, but I was like, he's just like holding everything. So I basically like went and got my putter and stood in the mirror and was like trying to copy the way he stood to the ball and stuff.
That's in my head.
So I was like basically trying to copy Max Homer, and then the next 2 days I couldn't stop rolling putts. And I think I changed my drive from my free wood over it. Yeah. And then I changed my drive from free wood over the weekend as well.
That's incredible. Like 3 clubs, like nearly a quarter of your bag you're changing.
Yeah.
For like 2, and you go 64, 65 over the weekend to get your card?
Yeah. That's probably about as good as I played them 2 days. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough around there, and it gets windy and stuff. So yeah,
it's always a windy track there. Always at that time of year, it's mad. And then and then you were 3rd at Q School, and you got your DP World Tour card for 2023, and won the ISPS, and love the old stuff. Before we go on to the Open, did you also used to book your own travel, Dan? And you used to book one-way tickets. You still do now?
I still do now, yeah. I still do now. I don't book many return flights.
Why do you buy one-way tickets, Dan? Why?
I don't like tempting fate, like booking something for a Sunday. Thinking that you're going to... Because then if you miss a cut, you want to get home.
Yeah,
and then true. And I'm just... Yeah, so I just book one way, yeah. Probably not the most cost-effective way to go about it, but...
It's not.
No. I mean, you can find the odd cheap one-way one.
You can. That's very true. Do some digging, and you absolutely can. Let's come on to the Open, because I think that's what most people want to hear about your experience of that week. I mean, look, you wouldn't have been there unless it was for that 20-foot putt at West Lancs to qualify, which was, I mean... Open qualifying is so damn hard. Look, I'm not a golfer, but I understand final qualifying. it's a brutal day, Dan. And at the end of it, trying to just have the mental fortitude to try and hold that putt to qualify. How did you feel when you hold it?
Yeah, it is strange. I did say sort of when we were out there in the morning, I was thinking, gosh, like 1, 2, 3 under's going to qualify it, because just the conditions are so brutal. And then all of a sudden you kind of like get to 3 or 4 under and you think, God, I need to get another 1 or 2 here, which was a bit of a shock. So that's kind of like tells you how hard it is. Really, you've only got 4 spots to play for, so you do have to play very good golf, basically. But yeah, I can just remember putting really well all day, but not a lot kind of dropping. And then I don't know, I just had a weird feeling. Sometimes you just get a weird feeling, and I was like, I just think I'm going to hold this. It was like uphill, right to left, 20 foot. And then I spoke to my mates who, my mate was caddying for me on the day, and a couple of my other mates were watching, and my brother was there watching as well. And they all had the same feeling. They felt like I was going to hold it, and I felt like I was going to hold it. It's a weird sort of, yeah, almost like an outer body experience, really. You don't know where it comes from, but you don't really hold a lot all day from outside 10 feet, and then all of a sudden you stand over a 20 foot on the last hole and you think you're going to hold it. It's just kind of a bit strange, isn't it?
Power of Max Homer. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I actually did a fist pump, and I'm not very active on those fist bumps, but it just came out of me. Yeah,
came out of nowhere. Came out of nowhere. That's what final qualify does to people. Everyone. I mean, before Troon, you were like 7 weeks out with an injury. Not long before really Troon. You had like this cyst on your knee, didn't you? And then you weren't really firing. Results coming to the Open. You missed a ton of cuts. You made it at the Scottish. So where did the form come from in those 4 days at Troon?
I think I was actually playing quite nicely. I just wasn't. My scores just didn't reflect how I was playing, sort of leading up to the Scottish, and then. And I think just because I managed to qualify at West Lancs, which is obviously on a links course, I then went to the Scottish Open and the Open feeling just really comfortable on links golf after having a good day at West Lancs. And then I think that's where it came from, really. You almost just kind of looking for a little bit of confidence, find a little bit of confidence from somewhere, and that was kind of where I found it from, was just being on a links course and feeling comfortable, basically. But yeah, I wasn't playing particularly too badly leading up to it. It was just scores wise. The scores just weren't reflecting how I felt.
No, it's funny. I've spoken to a few golfers when they've missed a host of cuts, and they go, "That doesn't always reflect how I've actually been playing. I feel like I've been playing great, and it's just for whatever reason, you know this, that either the putts don't go in, or you get a bit of misfortune, and that ruins your week in a way."
Yeah, I think one of the sort of like factors to it as well was I played in my first event back was Belgium. And I was leading. I think I was 3rd in greens in regulation for the week. And I missed the cut by 1. And I was lipping out so many times. I played with Sean Crocker and Callum Hill, and they both said to me afterwards, so like, I've never seen someone lip out so much in 2 days.
Really?
It was crazy. And obviously that being my first event back, I think if I make the cut there, even if it was just on the mark and you have like a half decent weekend, I think you then push on and go on to have a little run of events. Whereas because it didn't quite go my way there, missing the cut by 1, you almost have to reset a little bit again and go again. Whereas, so that might have had something to do with it, the sort of like run of missed cuts after the injury, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Belgium this year. First time being at that course as well. It's tight. So if you're third in greens and reg, you're doing well there.
Yeah.
You're playing well, and as you said, it's just a few holes not dropping. It was your first major, Troon. How did you approach the week? Were you nervous? I mean, I saw you Wednesday on the range, didn't I? And I went to you. Where's your tee time tomorrow? You went, "Oh, I'm last, out with the bins." But you seemed pretty chilled to me.
Yeah. bringing the pins in. Yeah, I always am. I don't let. I don't ever get first tee nerves, to be honest. I've never had that. There was a little bit on the Thursday, but not. It wasn't anything crazy. I think I just kind of. I think I've been around for just about long enough now, like sort of probably the past 18 months to 2 years, where I've played with a lot of good players. I've played in the same tournament as a lot of good players, like the Rolex events, and being a winner on tour, I didn't feel out of place. So I suppose that's one of the reasons why.
I did also, although this makes more sense now, hearing what you about one-way tickets. I heard your mum booked a hotel for just one night. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah. Well, she was going to stay in the house with us at the Open, and I had a few of my mates coming up, and they can get a bit they can get a bit leery. So I said to her, I was like, I don't want to say this in a bad way, but it might not be a good idea if you want to get some sleep. It might not be a good idea to come and stay in the house. So I did offer to book her a hotel, but she wasn't having any of it. So. But yeah,
okay, fair enough.
You book a hotel for a night here, and then extended that stay through the week. Yeah,
good, excellent. Yeah, I heard there were a few beers, hot tubs, and some cricket going on at that house. Are you a handy cricketer, by the way? I reckon you probably are.
No. I probably haven't played until that week. I probably haven't played cricket in about 13, 14 years. So, and some of the other lads do actually play cricket for the local team, so they're quite handy. And I got a nice little bruise off one of them from a fast bowl that was a bit of a full toss. It's straight on the inside of the thigh and got a bit of a bruise, yeah. Which
I mean, just what you want of Open Week. One right at the knee.
Yeah, great prep. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Your 65 on Thursday was the lowest round by a male making his major debut. I mean, in history, that is just wild stuff. That is, Dan. As I said, you were last person out.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like coming down the last with, like, you were the only group on the course, a handful of people watching, but you had a chance to lead the Open? What was that like?
Yeah, I think we were second to last off. So there was one group behind us, and it was, but we definitely got away with the weather. We definitely got away with the weather a little bit in terms of, like, we sort of stepped on the back nine and the wind almost just, it didn't drop completely, but it definitely died down quite a bit. So, but then on the other hand, we had sort of the last 3 or 4 holes near enough in the dark, which doesn't come across on telly. It still looks light on telly, but it was really dark. And thankfully, obviously, I had my brother on the bag, and he knows aim point. So I was struggling. It got so dark the last sort of few holes, so I was like bringing him in for reads on putts, and I was basically just trusting him. And yeah, a lot of that last putt on the 18th green to shoot 65 was down to him. Yeah.
Wow. And I read that about Ben, that he does aim point. But, you know, I'd never thought that's great in the dark. I'd never thought about that before. So that's a big bonus. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because obviously it doesn't matter if it's dark or light with aim point. You're feeling it with your feet, aren't you? So
exactly.
So yeah, my eyes weren't working and his feet were still working, which was helpful.
That is perfect. Can we come on to Saturday? Saturday was utterly brutal weather-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, the rain was dreadful.
Yeah.
Can we also talk about the 7th? Because you wouldn't have seen me, Dan, but I was just to the left on 8 of the Potistam, just slightly down the hill there. And Burmester and Scheffler were on the 7th green. All of a sudden, this golf ball out of nowhere flies through the green. I mean, it's close to me as well. Burmester absolutely craps himself. It's like, where's that come from?
Yeah, I think I nearly killed it. I think I nearly killed Dean Burmester, didn't I?
You're bloody close.
It was so a bit too close, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And you were so far right of 7. For me, this was one of my shots of the week, if not shot of the week for me. Talk us through that second shot, because you were on 8 there, on a bit of weird fairway, like the run up to the 8th green. It was absolutely smashing down as well. Talk us through that shot.
I actually said to my brother, I was like, this is actually a really good angle. Like it just opened the green up quite a bit. And yeah, I managed to sort of like traipse our way through the long rough and get half decent yardage off one of the fairway bunkers back on the 7th. And then basically all I was trying to do was play short of the hole was the fattest bit of the green. So I was just basically trying to pitch it sort of like 3, 4, 5 yards short, and then sort of hope you get the number right. And thankfully it went to, I think it's probably like 2 or 3 feet. It ended up finishing to. So
unbelievable. And like, it was such a surreal spot because you had Scheffler and Burmester on the green at 8. Rosie was on the tee at 8. You had all the stands on 7 and 8 just basically watching you. That whole of the golf course had stopped to watch you, and it was just a really weird amphitheatre, I thought, in the absolutely smashing rain. Look, we obviously had that rain was dreadful on Saturday. You hit driver at 17, the par 3. That was that. I mean, that never happens. That never happens. What were you thinking on that 17th tee? Like I'm hitting driver here.
No. Yeah, that was that. I can't remember the last time I hit driver off a par 3 tee. It would be years and years ago. But I can just remember like playing a couple of holes previous on 15, and I hit driver short of the green, and my driver was only going 240 off the tee, sort of hitting like a little knuckly sort of bunty one, and I think we had like 236, and I was like, literally, there's no other club for it. It's driver, and I can remember just like turning to the crowd, pulling my driver out, and just waiting for some sort of dodgy comments because I've just pulled driver out on a par 3. But then thankfully Shane did it after me, so
he did.
I don't know if he did that just to make me feel better, or he did actually want to hit driver as well.
I mean, Shane didn't have a great day on Saturday.
He was thinking I can't have this lad being the only one who's pulled driver out on a par 3.
Yeah, he felt sorry for you.
Yeah.
And then you obviously had the double bogey down the last, which included that. I mean, the luck you had on the 1st and the 18th, which was just so incredible that your ball was just outside the bunker. You had to stand in it. As a pro in that situation, how do you deal with things like that?
Yeah, it was quite difficult. I deal with hitting poor shots quite well, sorry. Like, if I hit a poor shot, I'm quite good at just taking ownership and just being like, right, I've hit a poor shot, that's my fault. It is a little bit more tricky when you feel like you've hit a good tee shot and you end up in a situation like that. It's a little bit harder to deal with, especially when you're sort of leading the Open and you feel like you probably should still be leading the Open going into Sunday. So it was obviously circumstances as well. It was a little bit frustrating. It was a little bit of a kick in the teeth, I suppose, from not really hitting a bad golf shot. But that's links golf here, isn't it?
That is links golf, absolutely. Though, which you said a few years ago that you hated links golf. I mean, you probably like it a little bit more now, Dan. I reckon.
I used to hate it, but I think it's because we played so much of it as an amateur, so you get sick of it. Whereas I think because we don't play much of it anymore, you can go back and appreciate it more, and you can enjoy it more now. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love it. I love links golf for me anyway.
Yeah,
it's absolutely brilliant. You also on the Saturday you came. Well, I'm going to say pretty famous for ripping darts, ripping heaters, whatever you want to call it. What is the reason? Are you just nervous, Dan?
No, it's. I've done it for a while. It's not. It's not something that creeps in when I'm nervous or anything like that. It's just a bad habit I've managed to get myself into, unfortunately. But it's not actually. It's weird because I've done it for a while, but it's only ever really when I'm playing golf and if I am having the occasional drink. So I'll go home on a night time and I'll get to back to my hotel or whatever, and I barely ever smoke. So I don't know. I don't think it's a nerves thing or anything like that. But I've always tried hiding it, and then obviously now I've been caught red-handed on television,
leading the Open in the rain.
Yeah, I think I got caught last year at Galgorm as well, the week I won. So, but there's the sort of people, the sort of fans have taken to it I think a lot of fans have taken to it anyway and seen that I am probably quite just a normal bloke, really. And I think a lot of people have taken a liking to it. So I'm sort of playing on it a little bit, but I'll go back to trying to hide it, kind of thing.
Have you had a sit down with the parents? Are they okay about it now?
Well, they've always known, but I just don't do it in front of them. I don't like them seeing me do it. Just out of a sort of respect, I think, for your parents. I don't want them to see me doing it, but they do. They know I do it.
Oh, you're a good boy, Dan. You're a good boy to your mum and dad. You really are.
Yeah.
That's nice of you. This might be hard to answer. I don't know. Did you let yourself dream on Saturday night? You're one off the lead. You got a chance to win the claret jug. Did you let yourself dream a little bit?
Not at all. We just went back and played cricket for an hour once we got back. So there wasn't. I think that was the beauty of the beauty of a lot of my mates being there. It was like it just completely took my mind away from. You always forget you're playing in the open, which was nice. Which was a nice kind of way to go about it. I never got ahead of myself. But I do think I got a little bit of kind of I think a lot of people maybe sort of like wrote me off or thought that I was going to fall away and that I was going to feel the pressure and all this. But which is fair enough because of obviously the players that were around me. But I do feel like obviously having a good last year, like finishing top 50 in the race of the Dubai and being a winner on tour, I do think a little bit was maybe unjustified, if that makes sense. I think the media kind of maybe they obviously didn't know a lot about me, but yeah, being a winner on tour, I think I probably maybe deserved a little bit more respect potentially.
Absolutely, yeah, especially the American media. I read a few things. I was like, "Come on, you don't know this guy. you don't know this guy at all. Like he's a proper golfer." So, I'm glad you bowled a few overs of right arm over. To be honest, Dan, to get your mind away from it. I think that's a great way to go. That's a great way to go. You know what?
I had a really tight shoulder on. I think it was on the Thursday or the Friday before I went out. It was my right shoulder, and I was like, "Oh, why is my?" And then I clicked on that I'd probably bowled about 6 overs the night before, which was probably the reason why. Yeah,
trying to be Jimmy Anderson.
For a couple of hours, yeah.
What's the reason for your shoulder? I just bowled 10 overs last night.
Yeah.
Oh, that is great. You obviously then got paired with Scotty, like world number one golfer. He's the best golfer on the planet by an absolute country mile. Look, with all due respect to these two, you played the first round of the SDC earlier this year with Jordan Gomberg and Tom Vaillant. Scotty Scheffler is obviously a step up from that. What did you think when the draw came out, and did you learn anything watching Scotty play?
Yeah, it was obviously exciting getting to play with the world number one. But at the same time, we had some really good chats, like in the first sort of 2 or 3 holes. He sort of very easily got relaxed and felt comfortable around him, and sort of being in one of the final groups on a Sunday. So yeah, but obviously, I think what I learned from him was just how much of a winner he actually is. Like, he didn't leave a single putt short all day. He was just his only goal of the day was to shoot as low as he possibly could and win the golf tournament. And he sort of didn't care if he 3-putted, as long as his first putt had a chance of going in the hole. So it was different. It was a different mindset to what maybe I would take on that. Obviously, being in that situation, if you've got a tricky sort of 30-footer, you're trying to cozy it up, tap it in, and walk off with the par. Whereas he would just be ramming it 3, 4, 5 foot past the hole, just trying to hole it. He's just trying to hole everything. So it's a completely different spin on how I would play a final round of the golf tournament. Really, it's not that you're trying to not make mistakes, but you're certainly trying to limit them, whereas he wasn't trying to limit any mistakes at all. He was just going gung-ho and all out trying to pick up the trophy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up a gold medal yesterday. You just played doping with a good gold medalist.
Yeah. I did say I said to my brother yesterday, I was like, I wonder how many people in the UK have cleaned Scotty Scheffler's balls, and my brother has done that.
It's a great question.
Olympic champion, world number one. Yeah.
It's a great question.
It'd be good to put a poll out. See how many people have cleaned Scotty Scheffler's balls. There's not going to be many.
I'm going to be less than 3. I've got a feeling. Yeah. I think it might be.
Yeah. It's not going to be many. It's
not going to be many. I came out to follow you a few holes Sunday, and I cannot tell you how many fans were rooting for you. It was thousands. What was the atmosphere like for you on that Sunday?
Yeah, it was quite cool to see, actually, because when I went out with Shane on the Saturday, like early on Saturday, you could feel that everyone was rooting for Shane, and it wasn't a lot for me. But then as that round went on, sort of as we got to the last few holes, you could tell there was more and more people starting to, I think, maybe warm to me. And I don't know, I think like I said before, I think a lot of people wrote me off and probably just thought I was going to fall away and what have you. But yeah, it was quite cold over the weekend. Just as the weekend went on, the longer it went on, the more kind of people sort of were rooting for me in a way, I suppose. Yeah.
It was ridiculous how many, Dan. Honestly, it was insane how many. It was great to see. Top 10 means you go to Portrush next year.
Yeah.
Was that at the forefront of your mind going on Sunday?
It wasn't at all in the forefront of my mind going into Sunday. I genuinely wanted to win. I just played the front nine poorly. Like when the wind was off the right on the front nine all week, I struggled a little bit because I hit a fade. I like seeing it go from left to right, and the wind was just too strong for me to do that. So I was getting caught in between using the wind or really sort of trying to slice it into it. And I was just getting caught in between quite a bit. So as guys were shooting 2, 3, 4 under on the front nine, I just kind of struggled with that a little bit all week, and sort of unfortunately didn't play great on the Sunday for that front nine. And then after that, you kind of realise you're out of the running for the tournament. But then certainly going down the last 6 or 7 holes, I was thinking about finishing top 10 and obviously getting automatic for the following year.
Yeah, which is and Portrush is amazing, great course, and it's so much fun. If you want a beer, Portrush is decent for a beer. I'm just saying, Dan. It's very good. You won a great. I'm not going to say what the paycheck is. People can go find it. It's very decent. How much money does that mean to you in the short term?
Do you know what? I don't really care about the money. I think that was one of the reasons I struggled when I first came out as a pro. The first 2 years, I was thinking about money so much. And that was one of the reasons why I got held back a little bit and maybe wasn't fulfilling my potential. And after COVID, I sort of came out and I was like, I'm just going to work hard and I'm just going to enjoy it. And I don't really care about the money, and whatever happens. So I think my first couple of decent paychecks on DP were, I got a little bit excited, but now I'm sort of, thankfully I'm in a comfortable enough position where I'm not worrying about money, and even the big paycheck from the Open, I mean, it sounds daft, but I probably didn't really get excited about that at all. I was more excited about getting to play in the Open again and doing it all again next year at Portrush.
That's very refreshing to hear, Dan, I've got to say. And I thought that would be your answer, to be honest. So, Dan, I'm just going to say, thanks so much for your time. I only wanted half an hour and it's turned into 50 minutes. So I really appreciate it. We've gone quite deep there into your career in the end, to be honest. But thank you for all the stories. And honestly, those 4 days, as a presenter, I did the Open, I did the morning shows and things like that. As a presenter, I should be neutral. And on both morning shows, me and David Howell said, we really hope Dan wins the Open. We were fully behind you. because you were such a great story, and we know what a nice guy you are as well. You've been playing fantastic golf, so that was a fully deserved top 10 of the Open, mate, and I'm sure you're going to go on to bigger and better things. So thanks so much. Still keep ripping heaters, please, mate.
Yeah, I will do. I might go back to doing it in secret again if I can, but yeah.
yeah, just go into the shadows maybe to do it. But yes, don't change, Dan, please. Keep bowling your right arm overs as well. That would be lovely, please. So Dan, look, I'll see you down the road in a few weeks' time, but I really appreciate your time, and well done at Troon as well.
Thank you.